as a general rule, you don't mess with Texas. And one reason you don't mess with Texas is because it's home to a guy named Dan Crenshaw. And he joins us now. Congressman, first of all, thank you for your service to our country. What does this Texas election law do, and why did Texas think it was necessary?
Look, the Texas election law is very transparent, and frankly, it's a little boring. Okay, it doesn't do a whole lot of things the Democrat says it does. It just cleans things up. It cleans up the processes. It does things like, look, make all the early voting times the same across counties so that people don't get confused. Put additional ID requirements on mail-in ballots because, look, there was a bipartisan 2005 Commission on Elections that specifically stated, and this was bipartisan, by the way, that mail-in ballots are the source of a lot of different fraud. So we're just cleaning up some of these things so that there's less opportunities for fraud. Doesn't make it harder to vote, makes it easier to vote. In many cases, we have weeks of early voting in Texas. It's extremely easy to vote. Look, there's a few things that are true here. One, the voter suppression lie is just that. It's a lie. It's a myth. Number two, no one believes the myth. All right, about 80% of voters believe in voter ID, and 44% of Americans also believe that we have too lax of voting laws to prevent fraud. Okay, and look, the Texas law doesn't do any of that.
You know, Congressman, one of the reasons I like you is you never seem prone to hyperbole. You don't engage in manufactured drama. When I hear people compare these laws to Jim Crow laws, I mean, what is your reaction? I mean, talking about hyperbole, what is your reaction to comparing what y'all just passed to the Jim Crow laws?
Yeah, look, this is how Democrats work. And if you look at their tactics, they do this often. They expose a problem, okay? And then they exaggerate the problem greatly. Now, they exaggerate the problem. They say there's some kind of crisis, and maybe they call that crisis racism or voter suppression or whatever it is, or the world is ending. And then they offer these extreme solutions. So they have to say that there's a crisis in order to justify those extreme solutions that they prefer. Now, why do they want this? I mean, it's honestly hard to tell. The best we can come up with is that they do want it to be easier for people to cheat. They forget something, though. Elections are competitions. And in a competition, you have to be very certain of who won. You have to be. And if you're not certain of who won, well, then you get consternation, you get division, you get the kind of years that we've had here in this country. Look, when Democrats lose, they say the election's illegitimate, and Republicans do the same thing. How about we make sure that elections have clear rules, still make it easy to vote, but clear rules, one person, one vote, a trail that you can audit, and make the processes easy and transparent.
You know, Congressman, I did not like it when Republicans acted like they were incapable of losing an election. I think that's dangerous for the Republic. But I also listened to Joe Biden's press conference where he seemed to be suggesting that if the midterms don't turn out well, that it's because of something nefarious. Did you see the press conference, and what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, I saw the same thing. And I'm sick of this pendulum swinging this way. You know, it is clear the Democrats are setting this up because they know they're going to get blown away in 2022. They absolutely know that. And they want to be able to say that the only reason they lost is because they couldn't pass these laws that basically, you know, mean that you can drive through at 3 a.m. and vote. I mean, that's honestly the kind of things that they say. They get mad at the Texas law because, hey, there's no more 2 a.m. drive-through voting. I mean, like who the heck needs to vote at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.? And if you can't vote at 3 a.m., does that mean you're suppressed? No, of course not. But they want to be able to say that. I think that's why they're teeing this up. But look, like I said, the second thing you have to know is nobody's falling for this. I think if you ask regular Americans, they know it's easy to vote. And by the way, if anybody watching is having actual trouble voting or you have obstacles in your way, call our office and we'll figure it out for you. But I'm pretty sure nobody has that issue.
You make it all seem so simple, Congressman. We want to incent people to vote. It'd be great if they informed themselves before they did, but we want to make voting easy. But we just want you to be who you purport to be. So last thing I'm going to ask you, voter ID. What in the world is the argument against showing an ID to vote?
Well, let's put your liberal hat on real quick. I think it's just racism. I think that's their only argument. Now, it's kind of absurd to say that minorities can't get IDs. And by the way, if anybody in America can't get an ID, we should be helping them get IDs, because you need an ID for everything. Like I said, 80% of Americans believe that voter ID is necessary for our elections. You know, Reuters was trying to post this article bashing Texas because a bunch of mail-in ballot applications had been rejected. I mean, a few hundred, because of mismatched ID numbers. But my question to Democrats is, well, what's your counterproposal? Do you think we should just accept mail-in applications if the IDs don't match? I mean, honestly, like, what kind of election system do you think that would be? They don't offer a counterproposal, Trey, because they don't want fair elections. I mean, that's the only thing that I can come up with. I can't think of a good reason. I'm always trying to steel man the argument, but I can't.